Today we're going to continue our discussion of going over the scriptures from back to front and reading the whole thing like a book. Otherwise, you may miss parts or misinterpret others. It's important to, when you read, to understand everything. And as I discussed in an earlier video, nobody watches a movie from the middle. So today we're going to go over some scriptures that shows the importance of reading the entire book and how the Most High expects that. The first scripture is going to be Proverbs 6:23. And it reads, For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Now it says that the commandment is a lamp, and the laws of the Most High are light. The purpose of a light is to guide where you're going. How do you know where you're going if you're walking around in the dark? So the only way to enlighten yourself is by reading the scriptures all the way through. You must know all the ways of the Most High before you start walking in any direction. And reproofs are correction. Correction is, as you read more, you'll understand more. And you'll understand which direction you should be going. The next scripture is Joshua 1:8. And it reads, This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For therein thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. The main reason we talk and our conversations are about sports or movies or other things we do because we spend so much time doing it. If we spent our time reading the ways of the highest, we would speak about those things. But because we neglect that, we speak as the way everybody else speaks. And our ideas and our conversation come from our own thoughts. The only way to speak the ways of the highest is to spend the majority of our time doing that, and to study his ways, and to examine all his judgments and statutes and laws. This was said to Joshua after he took over for Moses. And he said to Joshua, the same way I was with Moses, I will be with you. And our chance to have the Most High on our side and our corner is by obeying him. We've been taught that the Most High has unconditional love for us. And that's not exactly true. The Most High has conditions, terms, agreements. We have no problem when we sign into Google or to Apple to sign all their terms and agreements and to agree to all the things that they're going to tell us to do and all the rules for using their platforms. But we think that the Most High doesn't have any rules or regulations, that we can just do whatever we like and he has to accept that. And that is one of the biggest mistakes people are going to make and going to have a rude awakening. It's very important to understand that the Most High has terms, agreements. We call them commandments, laws, and statutes to obey. This is Luke 6, starting with verse 44. For every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. We have to plant in our brains and in our heart the ways of the highest. We have to study his ways to the point when we speak, that's what comes out. We spend so much of our time programming ourselves with watching TV and these other things, that when we speak, a flex reaction is to engage in those conversations and get into arguments with people for things that don't really matter. The only things that matters are the things that the Most High said. It's as simple as that. It's as cut and dry as that. And that's what we should spend time planting in our brains and in our heart, is the things of the ways of the highest, and to spend more time doing it. John chapter 3, verse 19 to 21. And this is Yeshua speaking to a multitude of people. And it says, and this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hates the light, neither comes to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be manifest, that they are wrought in God. Now we know Yeshua is the light. We also know that the law is the light. What he's talking about here is reading the scriptures. Reading the scriptures is coming to the light. How else are you going to know what you're doing is signed off by the Most High, for lack of better words? But he that doeth truth comes to the light. Because you want to make sure what you're doing is right, and according to the ways of the highest, not according to your good nature or some of the other terms people throw around. I'm a good person. No, only the Most High is good. And the only way you can even approach that is by doing what the highest said. And how are you going to do that if you haven't read it? So you do good according to the ways of the Most High, and then you read to make sure what you're doing is right. When you read the scriptures, you're going to find that it's a very difficult road to follow. Many people think they're doing what the Most High asked, but they haven't received any persecution. Their life is pretty good, even though that all the people who followed the Most High struggled. Nothing was easy for Joshua. Nothing was easy for Moses. Nothing was easy for Christ. The ways of the highest is a very narrow road full of struggles. So that's why you have to read the scriptures all the way through, because it doesn't make sense to start to do something and can't finish. All right, so the next verse we're going to read is Luke 14, verse 26. Starting with verse 25. And there were great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me, and hate not his father, and his mother, and his wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, yea, and his own life also, cannot be my disciple. A lot of people gloss over a lot of things that Christ said. And the main thing to understand is it's a struggle the ways of the highest is against almost everything you've learned. And we, myself included, and almost everybody I know, have made so much compromises, juggling both, when the Most High cannot accept you if you're juggling both. So let's read that one more time so we get a good understanding. If any man, starting with verse 26, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, and yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. It's not possible for you to toggle both. The Most High expects you to hate what goes on that is against his commandments and laws and statutes. He expects you to hate it. Let's go over the next couple of verses, right? Going over, let's go to verse 28. And it says, for which of you intending to build a tower doesn't sit down and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest happily after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that see him will mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king goes to make a war with another king and sits not down first and asks or look to see if he had 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an embassage and desired conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all he hath cannot be my disciple. You have to count the cost. We read, we know what the highest is asking. We don't make compromises. We check to see if we can do this or not. And if we can't, we don't bother. But what we don't do is go halfway and then can't make it. You have to measure everything. And I see people thinking that this is some light thing and just going about their normal life and just make compromise after compromise. But the ways of the highest are straight and strict. To keep the commandments of the Most High, you're going to lose people along the way. And you're going to have to make tough decisions. If you keep the Sabbath day, you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. If you keep the dietary laws, you're going to lose people. And the Most High expects you to let those people go. It's not, something that you can maybe or maybe not do. The expectation is that you will let those people go. Now, if they choose to come with you on this journey to follow the ways, then, by all means, accept them and embrace them, and you can help each other. But if they are constantly asking you to break the Most High's laws, you're going to have to let those people go. Even people who, I've lost so many friends, I've lost so many family members that the only division is this. We don't have any division of thoughts outside of this, but I had to let those people go. And to be the disciple of Christ, you're going to have to let those people go. Let's read Matthew verse 37. This is Matthew verse 10, starting with verse 37. He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He that finds his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. If you make decisions based on your family and say, hey, I'm going to lose this person if I start walking after the commandments, you're not worthy of the Most High. And if you're unwilling to give up things in your life, you are not worthy of the Most High. It's cut and dry. No compromises. It's a difficult thing to understand. And people have made up in their own mind that they're doing the ways of the highest, but their whole life is a compromise. And the only person they're fooling is themselves. I mean, the scriptures are, like I said, cut and dry. The expectation is high.